Okay, everyone, thank you very much for joining. We had a lot of other people come to the landing page responding to the invite, and there was some complication with signing up. So thank you to those that figured it out. And I'm still watching to see because we have a good number of other people that were supposed to be coming. So I'll keep watching. Um, I'm going to introduce Secure Links as the host to the webinar, and then hand it over to Janine, who's the subject expert from KnowBe4. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Janine is going to mention that she's due to give birth in like 3 o'clock today, I think. So thank you very much for the effort to make sure that you're available in the backup just in case you couldn't be. And Mark is on the call as well. Mark is what's going to happen in the end. Janine will explain the phishing test part if you're interested in taking advantage of that. So Mark will be in touch with the customers, with the companies on the West Coast, and I'll look after the companies on the East Coast. So as an introduction to Secure Links, we've been in business for 26 years, which is a good amount of time for a company in this space. We're based, as I said, Mark is in BC, and we have part of our team in BC with him, and I'm in Ontario, and the rest of the team and our headquarters is in Ontario with me. We are agnostic to which types of companies we work with, size of company. We have certain areas of expertise. We work with a lot of credit unions, municipalities, but really all retail all over the different verticals. And we're in essence network security infrastructure specialists with a very highly certified technical team. I'm going to some of the details about what we do, monitoring of assets, different kinds of security assessments and testing, compliance work, wireless assessments, email security, incident response, and this is where the industry is going: managed detection, response, and services. And this is where our company is sort of standing now and is our future. So every part of this, what we call MDR, it's the newest and most powerful combination of automated tools and our technical team. And our technical team is highly certified and qualified. So all of that working together for monitoring before something happens, detecting if something happens or when something happens, and responding when something happens. And now I'm going to move into a little bit of what we're going to talk about today. I'll make a bit of an introduction to the subject, and then Janine will take over. I'm a bit of a history buff, and I was reading a book about a war in the 1800s that the U.S. had, and an interesting case came up called Fort Mims. And what happened here, if you can see my cursor moving around, so this is the outside of the fort, and it was very technological for the time, very secure, very safe, so safe that you see in the middle here, these are actually homes. The soldiers that were stationed, the U.S. soldiers that were stationed at Fort Mims, they had their families with them in these homes because they were so confident that the fort was secure enough. And this is an actual picture of what the fort looked like today. So you can see the tip and on the top of each part of the fence, and it goes all the way around, as we saw in the previous slide. What happened one day, the U.S. Army did not know that there was an attack planned, and some of the soldiers went out, I guess, to do some. I think they were looking for wood or water. I'm not sure exactly, And when they came back, they left the door open. And as I was reading this book, it occurred to me that it's kind of an interesting parable for the a problem that we have um, in cybersecurity and in infosec, is that we have to have all of the tools that we have. We have to have all of the technology that we have, absolutely. But what happens often is what I'm saying is leaving the front door open or leaving the back door open. Which is in this context our employees. That a person with bad intent sends emails or some kind of message, and they get in behind the firewall, behind the fort, by going through the front door. Why does it work? Why do phishing emails work? Janine's going to touch on more of it, specifically on the response. But one of the reasons, and I'm sure there are lots of studies, our brains like to make things make sense, right? So we receive a message, we're in a situation where something happens in life, and our brains work in an amazing way that we want to what's called in some cases default to the positive. We want to figure out what we can what we can make sense of, and we want to find a way to make it make sense and be able to say that this is okay. So our brains do that for us, and the problem is that if we're not adjusting to the reality that we're in, so then we can fall for messages or in any situation, someone who has a bad intent. So I'm calling this resetting our baseline. One of the critical things I think that we need to do, and that's really where, this is the end of my part, and Janine's going to take over. This is where KnowBe4 comes in, is that one of the things that they do is they help you reset your baseline. This is a real message that I got on my phone, and mostly we're talking about emails, but not completely. One of the messages that I got on my phone, so it's from the CRA, which we all recognize. I got this April 26th. It says there, right there, at 5:41, about a minute after I submitted my taxes, right? So, how that's possible is another question. But one of the things that bad actors in this space are doing is that they're taking advantage of making something seem urgent or important, right? This message says that I need to do something in order to receive a refund. Thankfully, I knew that I didn't, so I moved on. And when I say reset our baseline, so I'm talking about, like, we went through a pandemic, and unfortunately, there were many people during that pandemic who had too much time in their hands to plan bad things, and the amount of phishing and spear phishing and malware and all these types of attacks has gone up incredibly. And so we need to reset our baseline and understand, what is the reality that we're dealing with now, and then from there we can deal with, is this a real email? Is it a fake message? Is it a scam? So I'm going to stop sharing now, and Janine's going to take over, and she's going to describe how KnowBe4 steps in to help you train your employees to deal with this problem.
Awesome. Thanks, Simon. Let me pull up my screen share here. Can you hear me okay? Simon, if you want to let me know.
Yes. Perfect. Yes, and I should mention, sorry, Gina, I meant to mention, so if you have questions along the way, and I'm sure there will, please drop them in the chat, or at the end, we can also just, you can just hop on and ask. Thanks.
Perfect. All right, awesome. Well, it's nice to see everybody on here on the participant list. My name is Janine Ricker. I'm a channel account manager here at KnowBe4. I work closely with Simon's team at Secure Links, and he asked me just to come on and do a brief demonstration, presentation, an overview of what we do here and how we can help organizations with kind of what he set me up for, right? And in his intro of how to create a strong, what we call human firewall. Nowadays it's coming more prevalently. You look on the news, you look really anywhere. Big name companies, they're getting hacked. We find that time and time again, the ultimate culprit is human error. So our goal, our mission here, you can see, just to enable your employees to make smarter security decisions every day. And I'm going to go into how we do that. A little bit of background. He did mention I am due to have my child soon, although I think he jinxed me. It shouldn't be today. I hope it's not today. I need one more day. But because of that, I am working from home. And I do have 4 dogs in the background, and I've asked them to cooperate, and I've locked myself away in a hole in the back of the house. But you may hear some noise from them. So I do apologize, but just to be transparent, that is where I'm at today. So I'm going to go into a little bit about who KnowBe4 is as a company, how we can assist. I'm going to show you guys our, amazing platform that we have, some of the training examples that we have. But as Simon mentioned, if you guys have questions, just put them in the chat box if you don't want to forget them. I'll try to do my best to multitask and keep an eye on it and answer it in real time. If not, I will get to them all at the end. So without further ado, let me start going through our slide presentation here. In case you guys haven't heard about KnowBe4, we are the world's largest integrated security awareness training and simulated phishing platform. Currently have over 50,000 customers. We work with customers in every space and vertical that you see down here. All customer sizes, nobody is exempt from breaches. You can be, a 25 user shop all the way up to, we have organizations with hundreds and thousands of users using our platform to be safe. We do have offices all around the world. However, our main headquarters and where I'm located is down in the States in Clearwater, Florida. But what that means for your team, because we are a global organization, is that we do make sure that our platform is regional. You can localize templates. You can make sure that the training and phishing is really prevalent to your region as well, not just from a US-based company's perspective. A little bit about what we do. So in terms of the modern day security stack, Simon mentioned this earlier, you can have all of your layers of defense in place, strong infrastructure, secure network, really great devices. But this is where most organizations tend to fail is their people. We've seen quite the evolution of security awareness training over the years, where it went from a more nice to have, maybe once a year in a boardroom, mentioning what a phishing email may look like, to being really more proactive, testing and training your users, keeping that security top of mind, really making this last layer of defense exactly what that is, a layer of defense. So this is how we do that. It's a really straightforward cycle. We have a ton of different reports that I'll show you guys as well, but you're going to train your users, phish your users using our simulated phishing, and analyze those reports. And it's a cycle. He mentioned, the brain is really kind of the powerhouse of our decisions, of course, but training your brain. If you do one training a year for your employees, chances are the first week, they'll be like rock stars. They'll be looking at all their emails. They'll be making sure that they know the sender. They'll hover over the link. However, weeks go by, they forget, they get busy. Attacks get more sophisticated over time. So it's really important to continue that training, continue that phishing, keep them on their toes, but also educate them on how the climate is changing, the different types of phishing emails that are out there. They really have become very sophisticated, and they're just getting better with time. So really, as the bad actors, as we call them, get more sophisticated, we want our users to stay the same. So we have some data of our own here. Of course, we want to make sure that our product works and it helps. That is the main focus. We love our data here. We love our reports. So we did some testing of our own. You can see down here, we did some testing on 9.5 million users. So we did have quite the subset to work with. We sent out what we call a baseline phishing test and got what we call a phish prone percentage, or the failure rate for that specific test. We'll usually recommend that you send out a baseline test when you get started, just to get an idea where your users are. So you want to do this before they know they're going to be trained, before they know they're going to be phished, just to see what they fall for right at the bat so you can watch your numbers trend. So with this graph here, you can see out of 9.5 million users, 32.4% of them failed that initial test. Pretty overwhelming. That is a lot of people clicking on email message that could have potentially been malicious. We had a 3-month training period for these users. We tested them again. That number dropped to 17.6%. Still a lot of people, but if I'm looking at this from an organizational point of view, that's a lot less people clicking on email messages. Continue that training throughout the year. That average dropped to 5%, if not lower. So this brought up my point from earlier, right? You can train once a year, sure. You can phish test once, sure, you can get your numbers, but people start to forget. So if we stopped training at this point and didn't do anything else the rest of the year and tested them again, this number would have trended in a completely different direction. Not a good one. To the left here is what it means for your teams, right? Reduce malware and ransomware infections, reduce data loss, potential cyber threat, and keeping security top of mind for your users. That's the main goal. You want it to be almost muscle memory. I open an email. Now the first thing I do is I check the sender. Does their email address look right? Does this message make sense that I'm receiving it? Hover over the links. Worst case scenario, I report that email message, or I call that sender if it seems a little odd and say, hey, I just got this email. It was a weird request, not something you usually request or something in my job scope. Is this legit? That's usually a really good stopping point to say, great, yes, they approved it. I can go on and take action on that email, or I need to report it because it'd be potentially malicious. So things like that, I'm constantly thinking about without even realizing it every time I open an email, just because of the training and phishing that I've had personally. Whereas beforehand, that wasn't really something top of mind for me. I mentioned this earlier, because we're a global company, we have localized content and platform support. So our phishing and our training is available in over 34 different languages, and our templates are localized to different regions. This is a little pat on the back moment. KnowBe4 has been named a leader in the space. So this is from earlier this year from the Forrester Wave. You can see with the farthest up and to the right of all the top competitors in the space. I love this company. I've been working for this company for 3 years. It is a great company to work for, but it's a product you can actually believe in, and we work towards to make it better every single day. We're adding new features. We get feature requests from customers. We have great customer support, but the really great thing is it's a product that actually makes a difference. So for me, that's kind of a no-brainer to work for them. And it's things like this that we get really excited about, because it just shows the hard work pays off. So just something we like to put up here to show where we're at. We do have a full product suite. Our security awareness training platform is what we're really going to dive into today, sink our teeth into. I will touch on Compliance Plus because this is a library that goes hand in hand with this. But when you're done with this call today, if you guys have further interest in getting more information on how KnowBe4 can fit into your organization, and you want to reach out to Simon and his team, we can definitely discuss the other product suites as well to see if they'd be a good fit for your organization. So I mentioned questions. We can throw some in the chat if you guys have one now. If not, I'm going to hop over to the platform and get started with that. Okay, awesome. So this is what our KnowBe4 security awareness training platform looks like. As an admin, you would log in, you would have your dashboard right here. A couple of things to note. Managing this platform is meant to be as easy as possible. The last thing we need is giving your IT teams something else they have to worry about, something else they have to set up. So while there is some setup, it can also be made to be pretty automated. So once the phishing and training campaigns get set up on your end, they can be rolled out automatically and just get those reports put in. We wanted to make it as easy as possible for those users to get phishing and training done, your admins to get some time back in their day and be able to get some great information about your organization. I'll run through the dashboard quickly so you can just get an idea of the type of information. We have over 80 different reports built in. You're going to get a ton of insight into your organization. You know, the great thing here is knowledge is king. Knowing how your employees react to certain emails, figuring out any areas of weakness you have, having some numbers that watch you guys trend in a better direction. It's all great information to keep you guys as secure as possible. Our phishing graph here represents different campaigns that have gone out throughout this life cycle of this platform in particular. It shows your last phish prone percentage here. So if you sent out a campaign, you can see exactly how your users are doing. Oh, I think somebody took themselves off mute. Did you have a question or is that a mistake? Okay, might have been a mistake. Awesome. So the phish prone percentage here, you can see how your users are doing. You can also compare yourselves with others in the industry that you're in. So you just plug your industry in here. So whether your team is in, let's see, you can do healthcare, the size of your organization, program maturity. Have you just started the program? Has it been a couple of months? Has it been a year? You can see where you stack up against others in your industry from our benchmarking reports. The other thing I want to show is we have what's called the Phish Alert button. This is a free tool. It is an email plugin that you can download into your browser for your employees to use. And I will show you what that looks like here. I'll pull that up. Oops, let me find my page here. Okay. So you have this little orange fish hook here. It's a really easy way for your users to report email message that potentially could be malicious. You may have a process in place already. You may not. What I typically see is that users either forward their email messages to their IT team or call them up or call somebody over to their computer. There's not a lot of policy in place of what to do if you think an email message is suspicious. That can cause some confusion internally. Like I said, I asked my dogs to cooperate. They did not listen, so I apologize for that. This can cause a lot of confusion internally if you don't have a policy in place of what happens if an email is suspicious and may actually thwart somebody from not actually reporting it to you. So what you want to happen is you want them to report that email message. You don't want them just to delete it because you won't know if it was malicious, if there was actually some threat in your organization. You want to make sure that that's something that's taken care of right away. So what the user can do is they have an email message that's suspicious. They click this button. One of two things are going to happen. They're going to get a message if it was a simulated phishing test sent out from a campaign, and it's just going to congratulate them. Say, hey, you did a really good job reporting this email message. It was a fake test. So it puts their mind at ease, and it also counts towards their stats that they passed the test. They were able to recognize there was something suspicious about that email. If it was a non-simulated phishing email, it could be potentially malicious. It's going to delete that email from your user's inbox, but it's also going to just thank them for keeping their company safe. You guys can customize this verbiage here, but this is pretty cut and dry. So if the email is not a phishing test, the email can now get forwarded to where you want it to get forwarded to automatically. It can go to an IT admin inbox. It can go to a help desk. It can go to a person monitoring that. This way, the user doesn't have to question who they reported to or how they report it. So going back to the platform, you're going to get some really great intel on that. How many users are reporting messages? How many are simulated versus non-simulated? It also counts towards a user's risk score, right? They're reporting these email messages. They're able to say, hey, they're keeping their company safe. They're going to have a low risk score because of it. The next thing I bring up is our mod store. This is our training content library. So we have what looks like if you're like streaming a video service here, you log in, you can see all the things you can pick from, you can choose by topic. It's pretty user-friendly. I'm going to go to additional filters as well. In our full library of all of our training content, which is at our diamond level, just to give you an idea, our full level has over 1,300 results to choose from. We have a ton of content to choose from. Organizations love this because every company is different. You may want shorter videos, you may want longer videos, you may want funny, you may want serious, you may want ones that actually help you be compliant in certain areas. We have everything you can think of. Content types, we have training modules, we have games. I love the games. When I get assigned training and it's a game, it's a couple of minutes out of my day, but I actually get to play a quick game, right? I don't have to sit back and watch a video, kind of makes it more interactive. We have posters and artwork. You can put these around your offices as well, just reminding users, keeping security top of mind. We have different assessments that you can send out. You can send these out at the beginning of the program, or you can send them out, halfway through. You can check in on any areas of weakness your team may have. You can start training people in specific areas. So Simon mentioned earlier, he was getting a malicious text message that looked pretty legit. So we call that smishing or SMS social engineering. You can test them in those areas. If you have users who have company cell phones, you can train them in smishing and what to look out for. We also have mobile first modules. A lot of our clients were asking for this. They're really great modules that users can watch from their phone or their laptop, and they're designed to be watched that way. So if you have an employee who travels or works on the road, you could take away one more excuse to not do their training. These are all the topics that we cover. So we do have quite a bit. We have every attack vector you can think of. So as I mentioned, the SMS text phishing, we have voice phishing, tailgating. So this is more physical security, right? If you're in your office space and you have users coming in and out, do you know those users? do they work there? Do they have badges? Are you just letting them in the door because they look friendly? So physical security is obviously just as important as cybersecurity, making sure users aren't coming in and try to steal data or information that way. Other popular topics, so data privacy protection, safe internet use, mobile devices, passwords and authentications. I love this training because it's something we don't usually think about, is how to train your users, how to create a strong password. We all tend to, especially maybe at work, get a little lazy with passwords. Password 1234, your dog's name, your kid's name, a birthday, things that are easily crackable. Post-it notes on your desk with your passwords on it so you don't forget, all things that make you a little more vulnerable to those breaches. So we have training on those topics as well. Working remotely, how to do that safely, things like that. And then I mentioned earlier in our product suite, we have what's called Compliance Plus. So Compliance Plus is a separate library you can add on to any subscription level. And it covers all your regulatory and risk management. So these are things such as HIPAA, GDPR, PHI, harassment, employment law. I can come in here. We just actually developed this last year because a lot of our customers came to us and said, hey, we love your training. But we also have this other training we have to do. We have this compliance training, this human resource training, things like that. So can you develop something that makes it a little more easy, digestible, have it all under one platform? And that's what Compliance Plus was kind of came from. So we have this whole other library you guys can add as well, and all in one place.
Janine, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of questions for you in the chat if you want to take a quick look.
Yeah. So Rick has, do you test for WhatsApp scams? So you can, one thing you can do in our phishing templates here, you can either create your own phishing template from scratch, or you can use any of ours and customize them. It really could just be an email from WhatsApp saying, hey, you received a message, click here to log into your WhatsApp messaging system. So I can actually see if we have one already made and what languages they're in. Yes. Yeah, so this is what that looks like. You can then see if the user will click on it or go log into there. So a couple of things, you can label the red flags here. First thing you're going to log over is hover that link, right? This is not taking me to WhatsApp. The other thing is my WhatsApp account attached to my work email? Why would they be communicating with each other, letting me know that they have a message? That should be a big red flag, right? If I use my WhatsApp messaging service and it has nothing to do with work, why am I getting this? And is the login to a KnowBe4 dashboard protected by multi-factor authentication? You can sync with your single sign-on, which should have an MFA. Okay, I think that's the only one I see. Did that answer your question, Rick, or did you want me to go into a little more detail on either of those?
Should I unmute?
Yeah, go for it.
So your answer to WhatsApp scam is no, we create our own. Is that correct or not?
Yeah, so you would be creating a phishing template that could mimic a WhatsApp message a user receives in their email. It wouldn't go to their WhatsApp, like you wouldn't open up your WhatsApp like app in your phone and get something from KnowBe4 there as a test. It wouldn't sync to that.
Okay. And then to the second question, the multi-factor authentication, pretty standard nowadays. But it sounds like you're saying that, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you're saying, well, you don't have a facility for 2FA, but you have a facility for SSO. So we'd have to do some SAML integration. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. You'd have to link to your SSO, and then you can sign in. Usually with those, you have an MFA to log in.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. The only other way is to log in is that the user would be given a username and password and just bring them right into their dashboard here if you're not integrating with your SSO.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. The last thing I want to go over in the training content library is the ability to upload your own content. So a lot of organizations have stuff they use internally. So as long as it's compliant, and also this includes PDF policies. So a really good use case that we find is that companies will set up a training campaign that's open enrollment and it's for new hires. So if somebody gets imported into the platform, they automatically get enrolled into their new hire training campaign. That can include any of the KnowBe4 training that you assign to them, but also any PDF policies you have internally they have to review. That can be all part of one campaign. Users can track that, your HR team can track that. So it's a lot of great ways to get this up and running automatically and make sure everybody's getting their training even as a new hire. So that is a little bit on the training content library. You can see here, we keep everything up to date, right? We're always adding to it. We're always updating to follow current trends. In fact, coming up is the 2002 Cybersecurity Awareness Month Resource Kit. So that's going to be October Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We've launched this early, but you can view details here. It's a lot of great information. So we'll have a kit that Simon and his team can send out to you guys. That'll give you some free KnowBe4 training, posters, things like that to get started on your campaign for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Next up here, I'm going to just show you our training campaign. So you go through the training in the mod store, you find a lot of content you like, you want to set up a training campaign. So what you're going to want to do is come in here, and I'm just going to touch on this briefly. Again, after this call, definitely get with Simon and his team, set up a full demo. We can go through all the ins and outs, any technical questions you guys have, how to get this set up, things like that. But in the essence of time, I'm just going to let you know, you can set up multiple training campaigns. They can go out to different users, different departments, different times, open enrollment. They can be optional. They can be mandatory. You guys are in control of the program. You can customize it however you'd like. Same thing with the phishing campaigns. So I already showed you the example of the WhatsApp one. If I come into email templates, we have over 15,000 templates to choose from. And these are all different categories, different languages, different localizations. You can customize any of the ones that we have. Same thing with the landing pages. What happens if a user clicks and fails on one of these tests? You'll be able to see that all. So some insight you'll be able to see here is if you have a campaign going. I'm clicking through this quickly, so I apologize. But I'll be able to see here, this campaign ended. I can see all the employees who were sent an email to them. Check mark, hover over for the date and time. Was the message delivered? Did they open it? What action did they take on that email? Every email is different, and you can have it be full random, so not everybody's getting the same email at the same time. So you're going to be able to see, did they reply? Did they open attachments? Did they enable any macros? Did they report it? You can preview the email here to see what it was that they got. You guys can spoof your domains. You can have it look like it's coming internally from your team, have it look like it's coming from customers. All real world scenarios that these bad actors use. And something that's new for us is QR codes. QR codes are becoming huge ways that bad guys get information. The most recent example that we like to use is during the Super Bowl down here in the States, they had a commercial and it was just a QR code bouncing on the screen and you had to scan it to figure out what it was. Of course, we hope a commercial is not actually a way to maliciously get into your phone, but it just shows how easy people are just willing to scan anything and see what it is. So we have QR code scanning in our phishing templates now. So that's a little bit on the phishing and training. The last thing I want to show you guys is going to be your end user experience. So your end user gets assigned training. You can come into their training library here. User gets assigned training, they log into their dashboard. A couple of things that they'll see is some information on themselves. What's their personal risk score? How are they doing on those phishing tests? What training do they have to do still? If you're a manager, you can get assigned a team dashboard. You can see how your personal team is doing that. Anybody that reports to you, are they doing their training? What's your team risk score? You can have that set up. I'll come into my training then. I can see what training I have assigned to me. My favorite part about the program is I can take my training on my own time. Since we work here, we get a lot of training assigned to us all the time. If it's a 30-minute training, even a 10-minute training, I may not have that time in the day to do it all at once. So if I have 2 weeks to complete this, I may break this up and watch 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there until I'm done. But at least I'm doing it on my own time. I'm getting my training done and I'm not losing productivity in my day. Some of our training does have quizzes built into it, so you'll be able to see if they pass those. The library is going to be where anything that's optional is assigned to your employees. So did they, have a certain training that they love, so you wanted to give them a little something extra to do, maybe for extra credit, however you guys want to do that. We also have some really great web series. So maybe they just want to catch up on the episode of our web series, like the Inside Man. Great storyline. Every episode has a different security lesson in it. We won a lot of rewards for this. Lastly is a leaderboard. Depending on your organization, you can gamify it. You can set up different teams, see who completes their training first. Really great way to see who in your organization is a team player, right? If one person's kind of lagging, the other team's going to get on them because they want to win. So whatever the incentive is. They can also change the language here. So if your user has a language preference other than English, they can change their dashboard to that and also change their training to the language of their choice as well. Okay, so that is my high level overview. I see we have one more question here. There are several plans. Is there a suggested set of emails per plan, or do we have to create the plans from scratch ourselves? So yes and no. With our purchase of our subscription, you get a customer success manager. They will help you get set up and they will help you with suggestions throughout the whole life of your subscription. But it really is ultimately up to you. How many emails you want to go out to who, how often. So even just showing you creating a campaign here. Maybe I want them to go out weekly or quarterly during certain hours to certain groups of users. So it's really ultimately up to you how you want to do that. Honestly, it's going to be the results that dictate that, right? So if you have a really high phish prone percentage, your users are failing left and right, which we hope is not the case. You're probably going to want to do a little more phishing and training up front and back off if those numbers are in a better range.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. So, being that this is what you guys do and you've seen other companies' experiences, like if I told users, okay, I know you're super busy already, I want you to go and do some security training, they're going to go, yeah, I'll get to that, I'll get to that. And, so do you guys find that you send out emails and then say, hey, you know what, you're doing all the wrong things on these tricky emails that I'm tricking you on. So is that your way of sort of showing them that, yeah, you need some training? Or how would I possibly motivate users who are already busy, selling or doing the job they do, that they need to do some IT work, like learn security?
Yeah. It's a really good question. It's one we hear often. One thing, you want to keep the experience as positive as possible, right? This is not punitive. It's not meant to put more on their plate. It's not meant to punish them if they fail. So the positive spin right off the bat is important. A couple of things you can go about that is, one, you can do occasional training and only if they fail, they get automatically assigned remedial training and just, hey, listen, you didn't do so great. We just wanted to help you out here. The other thing is, hey, this is helping us keep the company safe, your company that you work for safe, right? You know, if we get shut down, if something bad happens, we get breached, we lose data, you know, we could close down, we can be shut down for a certain amount of time, you can be out of work. Those are kind of scare tactics, I think, but it's the reality of the situation. You can
How
lose.
about this? You know, how about this? We use, you know, we use Office 365, and of course their advanced threat protection gives us admins the rights to create all kinds of cool rules. So would KnowBe4 be able to go look at our results? You know, say we managed to figure out what emails to send out to users, and then, you know, they see a certain trend. Would KnowBe4 say, you know, if you use Office 364, you could just turn that rule on, and that would prevent a lot of that?
We wouldn't be able to report. I mean, you guys can see based on the reports, if you're using that Phish alert button, the types of emails are getting through your front end systems, and make adjustments on your own. We wouldn't feedback those suggestions on it. But yeah, if users are reporting emails using our Phish alert button and you notice a certain type of sender or one of your event, you know, you'll be able to see those emails they're reporting that are getting through your filters. That's part of the setup for us, is whitelisting our IP addresses to make sure that our emails get through to your end users, those simulated ones. But any real ones that we didn't send out and they report it, that's going to give you some insight as to what else is getting through.
So that's interesting. So we could have rules that would block a lot of the phishing scams and a lot of the malware, but we would whitelist you so it would act as if we had no rules.
For ours, yes, correct. So those emails actually get through to those phishing emails get through. So it would simulate.
Not that great for us, really, because, you know, I've in the years I've been in IT, I've never relied on users to do good security. I mean, I'll tell them, and out of 100% of the users, 20 will follow what I'm saying.
Right.
The rest don't. And then just to scold them, they're like, whatever, you know. So instead, what our team does is we kind of go, okay, what's happening? Okay, we go out to Microsoft and we figure out what rule can we do, or we go out to a GPO in our Active Directory and we go, okay, we'll make it so that they just don't get that opportunity. So I'm sort of thinking, well, if I whitelist you guys, then I'm really not able to do a test, because that's not our scenario, right? It's like having no front door, and it's like, well, of course we have a front door, but so how would I, you know? So I guess really for me, the way you're doing it, I wouldn't be. Well, I guess the way I would do it is I would not whitelist your things, so that Microsoft does catch your phishing scams, and if it doesn't, then I go, oh, I've got to adjust my Microsoft stuff first, and then the odd time somebody comes up with a tricky thing that does squeak through, then the last defense is my users. Okay, so I guess that's how I would kind of approach it, but I can't see how whitelisting you guys would be a proper fix for us, because, you know, a lot of companies are going to have rules in place, and if you just say, well, imagine you have no rules, well, that's not the testing. That's not right.
Well, it's the reality of the scenario is that these emails, even if you have all the rules in the world, some emails are still getting through. And the other thing is our social engineering training
you want to test that, right? That's what you want to test is,
if something gets through.
Yeah. Then us admins could go, oh, wow, look at that, got through. Okay, we can fix that. And then instead of relying on some guy who's making $1 million a year but knows nothing about IT, instead of relying on him, us IT guys just take it upon ourselves and say, okay, if such an email is in this way and in this way, you know. So I guess that way we would see ahead of time what kind of things could come through the pipe.
Yeah, and it really needs to be a separate thought from a front end filtering system. Like, right, we want you to have that in place. This is not a replacement of that or something that's supposed to test that. This is strictly end user. But also think about it. We're also testing and training on different social engineering tactics. So we're testing on, do they have a company cell phone? Like, are they getting text messages? Are they
text messages, right?
Voicemails. You know, people are calling up and getting data over the phone these days very easily.
Absolutely.
So we have training specific to that. So it's really social engineering as a whole. as I mentioned with that slide deck earlier, you guys, you want that front end system. You want all those layers in place.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing is say, hey, should those fail, what will your user do if they get an email?
Yeah, but it's tricky. You know, some of these things are really tricky. Like I've had myself and my admins go to Microsoft and say, look at this email. How could we have detected it? And then we do a header. We paste the header into a thing. It scans it, and we go, oh, right there. Look at right. And there's no way an ordinary user has the time or the smarts to figure that out.
Right.
But I would find KnowBe4 could help me would be, okay, look, we're able to get this kind of a bad email through your defenses. Then I take it upon myself, not the users. I take it upon myself to go, how could I block that? What tool would I? So that's what I guess my question was, you guys, can you help me get my front end more robust? Because that's what you guys do is you send tricky emails. Although the trick for me is how would I ever be able to pick from the thousands and thousands of training of emails templates you have, how am I going to ever pick which ones to send? Like that's a job in itself. So
yeah, I mean, you can do full random and just pick a couple of categories.
Full
and
random.
it'll
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll choose for you. You can choose, but you can narrow it down. Like I only want these certain categories. I want certain types of difficulty levels. You can just do your own templates and have it pick from that full random. So I get what you're saying, but we're not here to beef up your front end, right? We're here to beef up your users.
Well, I know that's what your thing is, but I'm not that. What I want is the company to be secure. How can I do it? Well, we have an IT team. That's the most important part of the security thing, because that's what we think about, whereas users don't. But anyway, I get it. You want to attack users as if everyone.
We want them to think about it. We want them, maybe not have to worry about it as much as you guys do and sleepless nights and all the other stuff that IT has on their shoulders. But we do want them to be kind of part of the conversation. Like you do play a role in keeping your company safe. You're not immune to that. And my last kind of bit of value add here too is the things I've learned from KnowBe4, from the phishing and training, translates to my everyday life, right? So that can be a positive spin to your users. Like they're going to get phishing emails to their personal email. They're going to get phishing, phishing calls, text messages, like Simon got. So it kind of helps them outside of work as well. Just kind of keeping this top of mind. So that's kind of another value add. Hey, you want to do your training? This is going to help you wherever you go in life, right? Because they're not just targeting organizations, they're targeting people.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, no problem. In the essence of time, Simon, I'm going to throw it back to you. Of course, if anybody has any more questions, Rick, if you think of anything else after the fact, get with Simon. We can set up a call. I can send you more information as well.
Thank you, Janine. Does anyone else have any questions that we can take a look at? You can just unmute or drop in the chat. Janine, in the meantime, can you describe how the phishing test would work if they would just contact Mark or I, or?
Absolutely, yeah. So we do have a one-time free phishing security test you can use. So what's going to happen after the call is, Simon, you can send over the link either here or via email. You guys can just plug in your information. You'll get set up with a free account that looks similar to this. You won't have all the bells and whistles because we don't, it's a free account. But you can come in here and you can set up a one-time free phishing test to your users, up to 100 users. The templates, there's about 5 to choose from. They're pretty easy. It really is just to get an idea who would fall for what. Really great just for your knowledge, but also if you're trying to build a use case for somebody within your organization of, hey, listen, we need this, here's why. Definitely take advantage of the free tools we have so you can get with Simon on that.
Okay, fantastic. And don't see any other questions. I was curious though, I think you and I talked about this in our prep time. Just you mentioned like the amount of time that the IT team or person would, that you try to make it user friendly for them, but on average, how much time do you see that the IT team needs to set up this system before it's sort of like running and humming?
Yeah, that is a really great question. So there's 2 things you need to do to get us set up. One is importing your users into the platform itself. We do sync with Active Directories, which is a one-way push that will update every 6 hours. You can also import your users doing a CSV file with any of the information you want to include in, or a quick manual import. And then the other, as I mentioned earlier, is just whitelisting our IP addresses, making sure those phishing emails get through to your end users to see how they would respond to threats that do make it through any front end system that you have. Once that's set up, it's setting up the phishing and the training campaign. So you can set up as many training and phishing campaigns as you'd like and have them roll out at different points throughout the year. Our team can assist with this as well. And then it can be pretty automated. You come in here, you can have saved scheduled reports that come out. We have a ton of different reports with a lot of data, so you can have them sent over to you automatically. It's a general answer, right? I didn't give you a specific time frame because everybody's different. We do have what's called ASAP, which is one of our other free tools that Simon's team can hook you up with. It stands for Automated Security Awareness Program. So you'll answer a couple of questions based on your organization, and it's going to give you a complete task list from start to finish, in starting with even engaging your stakeholders, customizing the console, whitelisting, and it gives you a little bit of information on each step and approximately how much time each step can take. But this really runs through the whole first year of the program of what that looks like. You guys can download this as a full program or download an executive summary to have and share with your teams to let them know what it would look like.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So I don't see any other questions. I just want to, I'm one of those people that always thinks of like, the perfect question as soon as you hang up.
Right.
So if anyone has that happen, please just send me an email, give me a call. You have my contact information. If you don't know how to reach Mark and you're on the West Coast, but you have my contact information, then just ask me and I'll send you his way. I want to thank everyone for joining us. And Janine, thank you very much for the presentation explanation. And
you're welcome.
Everyone have a great day.
Thanks. Have a great day.